Hello, welcome back. We are doing another video. Today we're going to talk about being jaded and why it's important to not be jaded
We're talking about being jaded
towards humanity.
against like a large portion of humanity
Yeah.
because of the struggles that we're watching go on in the world right now.
I will talk about from my own journey when I started the path in a sincere way. The one of the first teachings and initiations is we are all children of God. We are all the divine light. The divine light is within you. Everything is spirit. However you want to articulate that teaching. And if that is the truth, then that means everybody is as well as you. And so
They're
whenever
made from the primordial light of infinite love and goodness.
so
That's our true nature.
so our true nature is the truth, and we need to work on ourselves until that's everything we perceive is that way.
I would say that getting to that initiation where that becomes clear is actually a very long journey.
This is it's a long journey of healing, but you start by acknowledging the truth of your own nature. And then when judgmental and jaded energies and thoughts and stories come up, then we have to look at why is that happening? Why
inside of us. We have
Yes.
to look inside of us as to why that's
And
happening,
where's
rather
that?
than pointing fingers of blame on humanity.
That's right, and where it's coming from in us. So
That's
if
not easy.
if you've worked with us and we've done a tracking, often we'll see a childhood story of trauma or something that's happened that's created a story about humanity in the outside world, and so that's why we're doing a short talk on this.
Or
Because
also just a family pattern of injustice that teaches us to feel that sense of injustice as part of our own personality complex. I think that's pretty common too. And those children, because they're made of pure love, and everyone's made of pure love, everything born on this planet, when we see that injustice, is very natural to have grief. A child is going to have grief because their empathy is still usually intact.
so the grief is good and normal, and
The
that's
grief
part of the journey.
is love for humanity, and
The jadedness is not.
the jadedness turns into the feeling of injustice causing us to create a protection in our hearts.
So we want to dismantle the protections, and we want to open up to empathy and
Open our
seeing.
own knowledge of experiencing our heart by letting go of some of those barriers. And once we recognize that inner space of infinite love, naturally, over time, more and more and deeper, we start to see the true nature of all beings as that infinite love, even the worst of humanity.
So you have to go and keep looking in yourself. And
Peel the layers.
we will also tell people, find, if you're around a community of very jaded people who are expressing very jaded,
Or you're listening
angry stories or media,
to media, or
turn it off and find a new group of people to hang out with that are
Because
at least
it
trying to be positive.
it disempowers humanity and actually makes us weak to create change in the world if we start allowing our mind to be wrapped into that story of divisiveness.
So we went and saw some.
The divine can't work on our behalf, so we literally handicap ourselves. We literally dismantle our power to change the world and make the world stuck when we start listening to those voices and letting our unconscious get gripped and entangled in that story.
So in the beginning, even if you just make a rule for yourself to not express a jaded, wounded story about humanity, that's good. Make yourself a commitment not to do that. And if you start having a story coming out, stop yourself. And if you're around other people who are having stories coming out that's
Break
jaded
the
and
addiction.
wounded, don't listen to them.
It's a dark rabbit hole that is hard to climb out of.
Move away. So
I would say that I often used to kind of cringe when people would say fake it till you make it, but this is a good instance where even if you still are working at it for a really long time, because the grief is so strong, you can slowly over time separate the grief from the, I have to control humanity because it's so unjust and I need to change everything now. You just realize that this is a realm of suffering and everybody has forgotten what they are. The more you go into your own nature and your own self, the more you see that clearly, and you start to see without effort that everybody is shining the infinite love, and they're on a long journey to get there, but you have a direct experience of it, not just a belief. But for the meantime, the idea of fake it till you make it is gonna lead to a better world than not having a a guideline and a restriction that you put on yourself to knock off anything that feeds divisiveness and jadedness.
It's why certain gurus that we like at their ashrams, they have rules about behavior, and they have rules about things that you're not allowed to discuss and talk about, and that's for a reason, because they don't want people focusing on the negative of the outside world. They want people focusing on the internal spiritual journey and treating other people that are around with a high level of respect and kindness. So even if you're not living in an ashram, just pretend that you are and make yourself follow some guidelines so that you don't slip into these negative patterns of thinking and getting jaded about things.
And it is clear that when we do a deeper dive in our own inner process and some of our experiences of injustice, it's often in actually from my own journey I can speak to this, and from working with others, it's an entanglement with wanting and expecting and judging another person who's not capable of change. And there is immense grief for the sensitivity of us, the innocence and child in us, to see another person choose a path that's destructive. It is a personal wound, and that's why it's so easy for all of us to project it on the larger global scale. So we have to bring it back to, where did this first arise in me, and be present with that pain, be present with that grief, and let yourself see how painful it was to be a child. Acknowledge that child who experienced that pain. Oftentimes that resets the nervous system, and that helps dismantle and let go of the story that's created along with that grief, because the child just needs to be acknowledged for how painful and sad it was, how scary it was to see certain injustices. I'll just share a quick story. I was 6 years old when I had an existential crisis, because I suddenly saw that children were starving in the world. And I saw a documentary on homelessness. And I also saw a civil rights documentary where they were doing the Martin Luther King Jr. was in the civil rights movement in the South. They were trying to get the bus, people being forced to sit in the back of the bus, and so they were trying to be disobedient, and peacefully disobedient and nonviolent disobedient, and they had a movement to boycott this rule in the South, the Jim Crow laws and all the bigotry that was so intense. And I saw in this documentary civil rights activists, both black and white people, working together, and they had this angelic energy. I don't know if they realized that they were put here for such a divine purpose. We're all put here for an immensely divine purpose. But they got off the bus. I was in the first grade watching this documentary, and I was seeing the police spray them with fire hoses and beat them with their police, what are those called? Baton. And my heart broke. And so I was finding out that war existed. I was finding out all these things that, I think because your brain waves change at the age of 6, and that change forces you to become more aware of the world outside of you. I suddenly discovered that the world didn't know something that I remembered very deeply. I remembered where I came from before existing in this incarnated body, and it was a field of infinite love. and it was pure light, and I was a witness, and I didn't have a physical form. And we were like a unified field, and I knew that's what humanity was. I remembered that love is what we truly are. And when I looked out on the world, contemplating what I was learning, I went into shock, and I thought, and I think a lot of people are experiencing that in that child innocence and grief today, which is very understandable. Grief is different from despair and division. Those are two very different things. Grief is the power of love. So I went into shock, and I thought, they don't know that their nature is love. I literally remember standing in the exact spot in my neighborhood where I had the thought, how on earth could they hurt each other? How could they let children starve? How could they let people die in war? How could they let homelessness happen? How could they not know what they are? And I couldn't wrap my head around it. And I just thought, this place is in trouble. Get me out of here. And I walked to this big giant field in front of our house, and I lied down on the ground, and I looked up into the sky, and I said, I want to go back home. This place is in trouble. And so I'm telling that story because I think that the innocence of our heart and our massive love for life and for other human beings should be our guiding nature. And that is our empathy, and that is our power. But to then confuse that with thinking that that all humans aren't made of that love, that is an inner journey that we have to go on. Those are two different things, and we have to find out why we're holding those protections and defenses, and ask ourselves, is this just my ego, and can I let this go? Mm-hmm. And if that feels like a struggle, you can acknowledge, wow, I really like holding on to this. I'm getting some kind of like secondary gain by holding on to this.
Be transparent with the divine about it.
And it kind of feels like torture, and I want to let it go. Can I imagine what it would feel like to feel immense forgiveness and love and understanding for all of humanity, and to know the love inside of myself so deeply that I recognize that is the true nature of all other beings? Can I forgive them for forgetting who they are? These are important and huge questions to ask, and it's good to just say, what would it feel like to recognize that beauty and love and exquisite, amazing beauty inside all beings, and to not get in the way or feel like I need to fix and prove and change and find justice and demand it. Doesn't mean that we can't still work for justice, but we have to do it with peace and empathy and love, because if we don't, we're not serving justice.
So think about this very important topic and work on it. And if you've watched the video till the end here, we're gonna ask if there's anybody who has done some work with us and has experienced some changes over the last few years. We've been hearing beautiful stories lately. We've been hearing from folks having amazing journeys and beautiful healings. And if you want to share that story, we can do an interview with you, and then we'll put it on our channel for other people to hear, because we are getting so encouraged by the stories that we're hearing. But you all don't hear each other's stories.
And you guys have amazing stories of the strength and courage you went through to get over things that were holding you back, and it's immensely beautiful to see you all become who you truly are.
So you guys are doing the work. It's beautiful. Yes. So if you want to do that, get back to us and let us know, and we'll do a video with you. So thank you so much. Please continue to support us and refer us if you know anybody. That would be great. And we love you.
I want to say one more thing. Just one.
Go ahead, babe.
When I was struggling with this stuff about injustice, because it's a really strong force in me, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I remember one of my teachers saying, even when you're right, you're wrong. Mm-hmm. If you're holding a belief that humans should be ashamed of themselves and you're shaming them, you have to be able to hold them in love and know that that's who they truly are and truly believe that before you can work for justice. So we love you guys.
All right, guys. See ya.